I've given up on my grass. Hey gardeners, Amy here with Garden Up. Today what I want to talk about is lawns. The American lawn in front of the cookie cutter suburban home has become a quintessential part of the American dream, indicative of success. But in our quest to achieve this dream, it has become an ecological nightmare of watering, mowing, and applying chemicals to keep this high-maintenance monoculture green all summer. If you had a plant in your yard that required care every week, would you really keep it? I wouldn't. It's too much of a time suck. Yet we have lawns that must be mowed every week and watered almost every day, and many people apply pounds and pounds of chemicals several times annually. The well-manicured lawn showcases wealth and success by demonstrating that you have either the time or the money to keep it maintained, because it consumes precious time, money, and resources. In this video, I'll cover the natural life cycle of grass and how we can save water while still having a green space around our homes. So like every living thing, grass has a life cycle, and if you're working with that life cycle, you'll have a healthy, very vigorous lawn. But if you're trying to fight against it, you're fighting against nature, and it becomes very difficult. So grass is dormant in the winter, and then as it starts to warm up and we get a lot of rain in the spring and the snow melt and all of that, there's a lot of water in the soil, grass grows, and a lot of the species flower and seed, although we don't normally notice that because we mow it. And then in the summer, when it starts to get dry and hot, grass naturally goes into a dormant state. It's supposed to do this. This is normal. And to be quite honest, dumping gallons and gallons of water on your lawn all summer is such a waste, because you're trying to keep something green that really does not want to stay green. If you let it go dormant in the summer, it's not going to hurt it. This is working with nature. Then in the fall, it starts to cool off. We start to get some more rain. The grass comes back again. Some species will flower and seed again, some will not. Depends on what type of grass you have. And then of course in the winter, it goes dormant for that cold period. So most grasses have 2 periods of growth and 2 periods of dormancy every year. And again, this is normal. It's natural. And so again, I don't like to water in the summer because it's just a huge waste. And I would much rather have something that naturally stays green all summer, which is what I'm going to get into in a little bit in this video. So I want to take you on a walk around my yard and show you the different parts of grass. Some are green, some are dead, and we'll talk a little bit about why that is. So underneath me right here, under my pine tree, this is the first spot to dry out and die every year. And I have a few suspicions as to why. One, because it's right under the pine tree. Right here doesn't really get a lot of rain, and so this spot gets really dry really fast. But I do water it with the sprinkler, and it still dies, so I'm also assuming that it's probably really sandy and is missing a lot of nutrition. It's all just leached away and whatever. I can't keep this spot green to save my life. Right next to it, however, this is the greenest spot in my backyard. Okay, how does this happen? Well, it happens because I set the sprinkler right here to water this. So I water the raspberries, I water this section, and then I water here. And then I move the sprinkler over here to water this section, so that gets watered twice. And that's why it's green, and that's why it's a perfect square. So in order to keep that green, I have to dump twice as much water on it as I would otherwise want to put on my lawn, and I'm just not willing to do that for the whole yard. Not gonna happen. It's a waste. So over here, in this quadrant of my yard, I put my sprinkler right about here, and I water this way. So my main purpose for watering is the vegetable garden, just the cantaloupe and 2 tomatoes, no big deal, but I want to keep them watered, obviously. And this patch dries up really fast. So I put enough water on for the vegetables, but it's still not enough for the lawn. That part over there managed to stay pretty green, which I honestly have no explanation of that. Over here, the hillside is really green. Now come in close and you'll see why. This is not a monoculture. My house came with clover in the lawn, and this is true white clover, Dutch clover. It's got white flowers, about that big, quarter-sized flowers. The bees absolutely love them. But what's happening here is called native biodiversity. You've got clover, which is a legume, which is fixing nitrogen, and you've got grass, which is taking nitrogen. And the 2 plants are working together, and they keep each other green. And the clover pulls up a lot of nutrients that the grass can't get to, because that taproot goes really deep. It also doesn't need to be watered as much. So it pulls all this stuff up, the grass can then access it, and both stay green, which this is what I want to do in my whole yard. And so we'll get to more about that in a couple of minutes. This back corner, if you've been following me for a while, you'll remember that used to be Japanese knotweed. All in there. Japanese knotweed, as far as the eye could see. We managed to dig it out. There's still the occasional shoot that I find and I dig up again, but for the most part, it is gone. Yay! So I've been putting things in there, nothing real fancy, just annuals and stuff. Lily's been planting things, and then I've got a bunch of irises that I'm holding for different purposes. I've got an apple tree in the back, and then I've got lots of soapboard around that edge. Soapboard's really xeric. It doesn't need a lot of water, so it's doing fine over there. But I set the hose right about here so that I can water this way, and I can get that bed, and while I'm watering the bed, I'm also watering the grass right here. But the hose doesn't get this spot right over here, right in front of Lily's playhouse. Completely dead as a doornail in this cute little triangle shape, because you can see what direction the hose actually hits. The last zone that I water is right here, and my goal for watering this section, when I set the hose here to water this way, is first to water my huckleberry bed, which is currently full of some weeds, try to ignore that. And then second is to water my grape bed over there, also full of weeds. I haven't been in this back section much working. They are both very green. The grass in between is pretty green, but again, it's got a biodiversity in here. You've got dandelions, we've got clover, we've got all kinds of other grass weeds that are supposed to be undesirable. But honestly, in this back corner of my yard, I don't care. I love them. I think they're great. And then the very back corner, I never get the hose back there. It's too much work. I don't care. It's one little patch of grass. So this last section of my yard that I want to show you is the xeric side. It's so far from the faucets that I just don't bother trying to get a hose over here most of the time, and I just let it die. I gave up on it. On the side by the street is my xeriscape bed that I showed you in another video before, and then on this side next to the garage is where there's another xeric bed with some flowers in it that has also been shown in previous videos. But what I'm going to do with the grass right here is an experiment. I'm going to section it off into 4 areas. The first one, right under me right now, is ultimately going to be torn up and turned into a driveway. So for right now, this is going to be my control. I'm not going to do anything with it. It's just going to be grass. The next section, I'm going to actually take up the grass, dig it all out, smooth it, and then direct seed micro clover right on top of it. The third section, I'm going to leave the grass, but I'm going to mow it really low and then aerate it. And I want to see if the aeration holes make any meaningful difference with the micro clover seeding and growing and being a healthy plant. So I'll seed over that and then grow the micro clover there. And the fourth section, I'm just going to mow it really low, but I'm going to leave the grass and seed the clover on top of that. Then I'll water it enough to germinate it, and we'll just watch the progress through the years and see which is the best end product, as well as which one germinated the best. My biggest concern with end product has to do with, I've heard, and I haven't been able to confirm this yet, that clover kind of just disappears in the winter, so it exposes the dirt underneath it, which if it's on the side of your house like this and nobody ever walks on it, who cares, whatever. But if you're like me and you have kids and dogs that run all over the lawn, exposing the dirt all winter is kind of a problem, because you're going to end up with a mud pit, and it's going to be really gross. So I want to see if the lawn is required to hold the dirt down all winter, or if it's just as good with just clover. I don't know. We're going to find out. That's the point of the experiment. So thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please let me know by hitting the like button down below. And if you want to follow me on this path to figuring out what way is the best to seed clover, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss that. And if you have any questions about gardening, or you have another topic you'd like me to cover, make sure to leave a comment and let me know, and I'll see what I can put together for you. On that note, guys, thanks so much. I'll see you in the garden.